So just, the webinar is being recorded now. So welcome to the 2021 Pre-College Conference High School Track, the SAILS program, which stands for Students Advancing in Learning in STEM. This is part of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers Conference. So throughout this week and next month in person, there will be students from universities all over the country gathering to look for career fair opportunities, development opportunities, growth and leadership, and both for their personal lives, for the community, and for their careers. I was a member of SHPE and still am as a lifetime member, but I was a student member when I was at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the organization and the conferences helped me get from the point where my parents helped me get to kind of starting that college education to then actually being able to pursue engineering and have the resources that I need in order to have success. I'm the first engineer in my family, so SHPE played a key role in being my family in those areas where there wasn't really that knowledge or experience from my parents or my aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff. So it was an organization that really truly impacted my journey as an engineer and everything that I do today. So I'm happy to be able to be here with you all who are getting a head start. I didn't start until my sophomore year of college, so you all are getting engaged at the high school level. And I know that this event, as well as any other engagement that you'll have with SHPE throughout your journey into a potential STEM career, is going to be something that's very valuable to your future success. I want to give a thank you to the workshop sponsor, which is the NSA, that's helping support this event. And then acknowledge the schools that are here. We went into the chat a little bit, but I want to make sure that everyone gets acknowledged. We have Chamblee High School, Coachella Valley High School, Colonial High School, Evanston Township High School, High Tech High School, Madison East High School, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Penridge High School, and St. Cloud Preparatory Academy. So go show some love for your school in the chat. If you're in your room, you can go ahead and cheer and clap. But we're excited to have you here. Like, as I mentioned, we have schools from all over the country represented, just like at the National Convention, where our students will be representing universities from all over the country, and we'll have professional members and companies coming in from all over the country to support and celebrate Hispanics in STEM, and to continue providing resources and education to help us continue to grow and advance in these careers. For the teachers in the chat and on the Zoom, if you could change the names to the high school, I think most of you have, that would be very helpful. And then right now, I'm actually going to come up and remove my background so that you guys can see what we're going to be doing in terms of the hands-on activities a lot better. And welcome to my kitchen. So if you're wondering why I'm in my kitchen, it is one of the best places for me to do some of these activities that can sometimes get messy. The ones that we'll have you do today at your actual table won't get as messy, but we'll also go through and guide you through how you can do those then later on your own time at home or as a class, however you choose to be able to do it. You should all have received, as part of your gifts from SHPE, the It's Not Magic, It's Science kit. If you have those readily available, that would be great. If not, it's okay. We can go through the activities and you can go on and do them, as I mentioned, later on in another class period or at home on your own. These experiments are things that I designed during the pandemic. So I used to be able to travel the entire world and go to robotics events and different STEM events from Mexico to Australia to Brazil, and had these wonderful opportunities to engage in STEM. And all of a sudden the pandemic hits and all of those events are canceled. So I had to get creative in how I was going to be able to reach youth with STEM. Also wanted to find things that were a lot more fun and engaging and different than what most STEM activities I had seen or experienced when I was growing up were. And so I created this series. I started hosting it on TikTok and it went viral there. And it's just been a whole lot of fun to be able to bring those to life and share it with the world, and now have the kit available for all of you to be able to participate with us today. So we're going to go through a couple of these hands-on activities. we'll share the magic, explain the science behind the magic, and then go into a little bit of some motivational tips as well based on some of these experiments. So we'll go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, I was a member of SHPE. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I studied mechanical engineering. It's not something that was super easy for me at first, but I was able to get the right resources in order to help me get there. So this is going to show you a bit of a trick that I think you will find exciting, but we'll also show you some tips of how I was able to leverage organizations like SHPE to advance and get to places that no one in my family had ever reached. And that was something that was very important to me. So I've got a webcam here, so I'll be moving it around a little bit so that you can see the experiment better. I apologize if you can't always see my face, but it'll allow you to see what's going on much better. So in your kit, you'll have this It's Not Magic, It's Science cup, and you should have 3 dice. This is something that you can go ahead and grab right now if you want to, if you have it available, and do it hands-on with me. The one thing I want you to see is that these are regular dice. I have the exact same kit that you have. So there's nothing tricky about these. They're normal. And one thing that we'll do is we'll roll them a couple times so that you can see that I'm not trying to trick you in any way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them here onto this little piece of glass. So you see here, I'm going to roll again. And as you roll yours, you'll find out that there's nothing fancy or tricky or different about yours as well. Roll them a couple times just so you know that there's nothing funky, right? So I want you to then look here, and I want you to add up the numbers on top of mine. Can you guys see that well? So on top, I have a 6, a 2, and a 5. What I'm going to do next is I am going to show you the item or the numbers that are on the bottom. So I want you to first add up the numbers on top. So 6 plus 2 plus 5. Now I'm going to lift it up and show you the ones on the bottom, but I'm not going to look. So I'm going to come down here and show you that I'm not looking at the numbers. And then I'm going to need someone from SHPE to confirm that you guys can see the numbers on the bottom.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to add up these numbers to the numbers that you added up originally. So I want you to add the 6, the 2, and the 5 to the numbers that you added at the beginning. And I've got a little guest here. This is Gigi. So normally if we were in person, I would have someone up on stage that would be my assistant for this activity. But right now we're going to have to use this penguin as my assistant. So if you have added up the numbers, please put that number into the chat. So you add the numbers. Sorry, my computer just fell. Here we go. You add the numbers that you had at the beginning, and then you add the bottom ones. And in what I've got here is I'm going to discuss with Gigi what Gigi thinks the answer is. And in Gigi, there's a little backpack here. In her backpack, there is a little sticker that says it's not magic, it's science. And on the back, she has the answer. So how did Gigi know that we were going to roll a 21? I showed you that the rolls were random. I did it multiple times so that you could see that I wasn't trying to get any specific numbers. How did we get 21? So remember, it's not magic, it's science. And in this case, it's actually a little bit more of math and some patterns. So one thing that Gigi and I know is that there's a pattern in dice, and that's that both sides always add up to 7. So for example, 6 and 1 is 7, 4 and 3 is also 7, and then 5 plus 2 is also 7. So all we needed to know was the total number of dice that we're going to roll, multiply that number by 7, and you get the final answer. So if we were to roll 4, if you guys can put in the chat, if we were to roll 4 dice, what would our total sum be if we were to do the same trick? Yep. All right. You guys are quick. You got it already. 28. So you could literally do this with 100 dice. You could do as many, whatever numbers of dice that you want, and you will always know that number as long as you know that pattern. And that's how SHPE really helped me in my journey. There was a lot of things that I didn't know growing up that SHPE helped provide me the resources with, like how to work on my resume, how to get internship opportunities, what were the different, kind of classes I should take, and which professors I might want to avoid, or which professors were really great. And all of those little tips and tricks were because of the mentorship of being part of that organization. And so I want you all to take, that concept, and you can apply this to many other things. There's other places and goals that you have in life that if you surround yourself with the people that have gone through there and reached those goals and know the patterns, know the tricks, are going to help you reach the level of success that you want to reach. And for me, that at the university level was SHPE. And still continues to be SHPE, because we support each other at the professional level as well. So this is one that's easy to do with friends and family. You can do it at any time. It's pretty simple. All you need is 3 dice or more if you want to make it even trickier. So the next activity, I'm going to move a couple things around real quick. This is also one that you have available in your kit. I wouldn't recommend that you do it right now in this moment. It might get a little messy, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring Gigi back. I'm going to tilt this down again a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to grab a little bit of paper towel just to not get this too messy. And we've got right here a candle. One thing I'm going to share with the teachers, if you have specific questions, I saw a really good question earlier, make sure you put those into the Q&A versus the chat, because we might lose them in the chat. So we've got Gigi back again. Again, I wish we could be together in person, and we'll bring you all up on stage and do some of these activities. But we're going to light this candle here. All right, so the candle's lit, and Gigi's not too excited about being this close to the candle. So I'm going to move Gigi over to the side over here until we can make this environment a little bit safer. And so I'm going to take my It's Not Magic, It's Science cup, and I'm going to tilt it over a little bit and magically blow out that candle. I don't know if you guys were able to catch that. Maybe it was a little bit too quick, so we'll do it one more time, but I'll explain what happened. It looked like I literally just tilted this over and magically the candle blew out, right? I didn't pour anything on it and I didn't touch the flame. So is it just the It's Not Magic, It's Science mug? Is that what it is? Well, what you can't see is that in the bottom, I have something that I like to call the Invisible Firefighter, which is one of the experiments that is also in the kit. And the Invisible Firefighter consists of 2 simple things: baking soda and vinegar, right? So what happened is that I had Gigi hiding the baking soda that was in the bottom of this. I covered that up. And as I moved her over this side, I had a little glass with a little bit of vinegar in it, poured that in while I was off screen. And what happens is that baking soda and vinegar mix to create carbon dioxide gas. And carbon dioxide molecules are heavier than oxygen molecules. The flame requires oxygen in order to burn. And so when I created the carbon dioxide and I poured a little bit, you're expecting something to come out of the cup. What came out was the gas. Those molecules then push away the oxygen molecules from the wick, and the flame is extinguished. So I'll do it one more time so you can see it. This time we'll do it in Spanish. No es magia, ciencia. And I'll show you again. At the bottom, I had a little bit of baking soda, which is in your kit as well. And all of the explanations are on these cards. So when you're ready to do these again, if you haven't been able to do them right here with us live, you'll see. You also have the vinegar in the kit. So I pour a little bit of the vinegar in. You'll see a little bit of bubbles coming up. And I forgot to light the candle. Hopefully this goes quickly. And I just tilt it over a little bit and it disappears. That time I did a little bit slower so you could see it better. So this is something that's cool. It's cool that you understand the science behind the magic, but also the other key thing is to start understanding how could you apply these to real life scenarios. So I know we have some schools from California in the room, and I know that wildfires are something that have been a significant issue for you for a long time, but even more so recently. So how could we leverage this knowledge that we now have to fighting forest fires or preventing fires in general? What are some of the areas in which you can bring this to life? So it's cool that you guys are learning this. It's cool that you're also able to do the hands-on experiments. But the most important part is then how do you take that science and solve real life problems that you care about? And that's the other thing that these experiments have really taught me, is that I never thought I'd be able to, blow out a candle without touching it with, either blowing it, or sometimes I've seen people, use their fingers even. But when you leverage the power of math and science, there's really cool things that you can do that you didn't know you may have been able to do in the past. And that can change lives. So my business is called Invent the Change. And that's a play on the words, be the change you want to see in the world. Because it is important and it is great for us to be good citizens, to be good people. But if you can invent change, if you can create things that make the world a better place for people, now you're impacting so many more people across the globe that you might not be able to reach just by being a good person, if you know what I mean. So take the science that we're learning from these experiments and the ones that you guys will do on your own, and figure out how you can apply that to real life. There is some space on the cards to be able to do that, but go ahead and dream big and go on beyond that. So I want to see in the chat, do you guys want to see fire next, or do you want to see water? Do we want to do some more fire, or do we want to do a water experiment? Let me see what you guys think in the chat. All right, I see water first. I see some fire. We've got a mix. I'll do both, but we'll go with water first since I saw that first in the chat. So what we're going to do next, this is also another experiment in your kit, but I'm going to supersize it a little bit. So in your kit, you will also see a Ziploc bag, right? And a couple pencils. So I'm going to come over here and fill this with water. I'll show you guys my sink so that you know I'm not doing anything tricky. This is just regular water. And everything that's in your kit is designed so that it's low cost if you want to do it again. So all of these items are things that you may already have in the home, or that you can order for cheap online, or at a local grocery store or Walmart, wherever. So what you want to do is fill your bag about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way full, and then seal it well. All right, I made the mistake of getting the bottom of the bag wet. Actually, I've got a hole in this one, so sorry, I'm gonna have to start over. There's a hole in that bag. Pull out a brand new one. So if you want, you can fill yours up now. Just remember that once we complete this, you're gonna have to have a sink area or some place to be able to easily get rid of the water. So fill it about halfway to 3/4 of the way. This is just a regular Ziploc bag. There's nothing fancy or different or tricky about it. Let me bring you back over here. There's nothing different, or like I said, I literally just pulled it out here of my kitchen. All right, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna move this candle, bring this down a little so you can see it better. And we're gonna take my phone. We're gonna take you can see that it's real, right? There you go, wrong button. We're gonna take my phone, we're gonna place this big, dangerous bag of water right over it. And we're gonna stick pencils through it. And somehow, not a single drop of water is getting on to, oh. We have a defective bag again. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure exactly what happened with the bags that I pulled out today. But as you can see with the first pencil, there was no water leaked out onto the foam. Why does that happen? And you'll see with your bag that it doesn't leak. So what happens is that your plastic bag, your Ziploc bag, is made out of a polymer, and that polymer is made out of a lot of little links and chains. And as you're placing the pencil through, you're starting to expand the distance between those links. And some of them are breaking further out, but others are not. They're just stretching, and they stretch around the pencil and form somewhat of a seal. What happened with my second pencil is that I accidentally poked through, pulled out a little bit, and then pushed again. So as you're doing this experiment, don't make an accidental additional hole and pull out the pencil. But that's part of the experience. Part of engineering and STEM is failure. We're trying new things and trying to push the limits. And so I always like when I have at least one failure in one of these experiments, because it shows you that you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Being part of a STEM degree is challenging. Engineering, science, math is challenging, but it's designed to be that way because we are trying to change the world, literally. We are trying to be on the cutting edge of technology. And so I want you all to understand that just because something is challenging, just because your math class or your science class is challenging, doesn't mean that you're bad at it. That's another really key thing that I needed to learn in my STEM journey, was that mistakes like that will happen. And as I grew and as I got better and understood that that's part of the journey, I started to understand how to learn from those failures and what we call fail forward. So take something, learn from it, keep moving forward. So now we'll head back to fire. So I'm bringing back the candles here. This is another experiment that you'll see in your kit. You should have a couple candles in there. I'm gonna light both of them. And then I'm gonna change their orientation a little. I'm gonna blow out the bottom one. And did you see it magically relight itself? I'm not touching them. So what's going on here? Last time I did this for the middle school students, they said I was a firebender. So as I blow out the candle, I think you guys can see some of the smoke on my screen. So what's happening is that, as we learned in the first experiment, fire needs oxygen to burn. It also needs some kind of fuel source. And when I blow out the bottom candle, in that cloud of smoke, there is some flammable material that is traveling up to the second flame. When it hits that flame, it reignites and then kind of travels back down and reignites the bottom candle. This is one they definitely want to ask for parental or teacher permission to begin, but it's a really cool experiment that helps you see that it's not just that original flame source that needs to be the one to stay lit, and you don't have to actually connect them. And so that's another analogy that I've shared with in terms of SHPE, is that sometimes surrounding yourself with the right people is such a key portion of your long-term success. So your flame is going to go out sometimes, right? You're going to have challenges, things that are not going to go the way that you wanted always. But when you surround yourself with the right people that can uplift you, that can support you in those challenging times, they can help reignite that flame. And so my tip is always to surround yourself with excellence. Surround yourself with the people that are going towards the direction that you want to go. And sometimes you have to let go of some friendships and some relationships that are not kind of guiding you down that path. And so make sure that whether you're finding that through an organization like SHPE, through your friends and your family, or even just on YouTube, searching for role models and mentors that have had success in the areas that you're excited about. So make sure to keep that in mind as you continue to go on through this journey. So next, I want you to also understand that this cup is also part of the experiments. So I just reached over the kitchen and got some cold water, and you'll notice that the color changes immediately as I put it into the cup. So in this case, there is nothing in the cup. it's changing colors because of the temperature. So you may have seen this before with like a breakfast spoon. The cup has a material that changes color when it changes temperature. In this case, this one, the cup that you all have received, is sensitive to cold temperature. So the colder the water, the quicker it'll change. The reason why I show you this experiment is not only because of the fact that it's in there and there's not a specific design experiment card for it. So I wanted you to for sure know that this was also part of the experience. But I want you to understand that this cup doesn't behave as other cups do, or as people might expect a certain cup to behave or to react to something just being poured into it. And that's also very important in the way that you view yourself and you view your community. And so there may be some things that are said about your community, whether that's in the media, whether that's because of where you're growing up, that don't have to define you, right? So let's think of the water being poured into the cup as that stereotype. No one expected you to take that water and then change color. And that's how I want you to understand your future, right? You don't have to be defined by what other people have done in your community, about what your family has done. Be proud of what your family has brought to the table, but also understand that there's so many opportunities for you to continue to grow and expand and go into areas that, you know, maybe other people in your community or your family haven't gone to. And to only listen to advice that empowers you, right? I heard a really good quote recently that says, don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. So it's important to take constructive criticism, to get feedback from teachers and peers and adults that care about your future. But don't listen to that criticism that's coming from someone that doesn't necessarily have your best interest in mind. And you're growing up in a world with Instagram and TikTok and kind of social media warriors that go behind a keyboard and say all these things, or even now in the media that say all these things that might not be so positive about who you are or what you want your future to be like. So listen and surround yourself with those that do want to empower you. Listen to that like crazy. That's what helped me get into engineering. Is I had a math teacher that said, hey, you might be a good engineer. And I had no idea what an engineer was. There were none in my family, but that kind of just confidence that the teacher instilled in me helped me start to think, yeah, I can do this. Like they believe in me. I should believe in myself. And so surround yourself with those types of people that are going to be providing that level of excellence for you and allowing you to grow and empowering you. And ignore or block or push aside that negative energy that might be coming, because that's what's going to allow you to continue to move forward when things get challenging. The other key thing there is to understand why you're doing it. So what are you so passionate about? Is it because you're motivated to support your family? Is it because you really want to have an impact on the world and you think that science and technology can help you get there? There's so many different things that might be your drivers. For example, for me, a big part of it was my family. I'm the oldest of all my cousins and siblings. So I wanted to set that example. I wanted to be the first engineer in the family. But the most important part was that I didn't want to be the first and only. I decided I want to be the first of many. And so that put on this, this kind of extra superpower for me, because it's easy to give up on yourself, but it's very difficult to give up on the people that you care about most, or the thing that you care about most. So understanding what your why is, what your purpose is really important on this journey as well. So I hope that these tips, both on the motivation side, as well as on the kind of science side, have showed you some areas where you might not have seen science before and the power and impact that it can have when you leverage it correctly. So I want to open it up now to the Q&A. If you guys want to throw any questions into the Q&A, you can put any comments in the chat if you'd like to, but if you have a specific question that you want me to address, the Q&A section is a little bit easier for that. It can be about the experiments. It can be about my journey as an engineer, how SHPE helped me. I'm an open book. You guys can ask me anything. Some of you may have recognized me from Exatlon season 3 on Telemundo. You can ask me questions about that too, because that also helped me with my leadership journey as well. So whatever questions you guys have, go ahead and put that in the chat, and I'll do one last quick experiment while you guys do that. It's very similar to this last one. But I'm going to show you this spring, right? I don't know if you've ever held one specifically, but usually if you stretch a spring, you can't really get it back into its original shape. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to heat up the spring, and you're going to notice that it's kind of magically going back into its original shape. So how is that happening? This spring, and I also have a paperclip version of it, is made out of nitinol. Nitinol is called memory metal. Memory metal is formed at a certain shape and temperature. And then at room temperature, when you deform it, it keeps the shape that you deformed it into. But when you then change it and increase it past its transition temperature, it returns into its normal shape. So it's also known as memory metal. This is used in different things, like, for example, in braces. It's been used before to help it kind of bring your teeth into the shape that you want your teeth to be in. It's used in glasses sometimes, so that if you sit on your glasses or you drop them, they don't get as deformed. You can heat them up and go back into its original shape. So there's a lot of cool applications. One of the coolest I've ever heard of was from a kid. He was probably like 6 years old, and we did this experiment, and I asked him for real life examples. Again, the key is for you all to think about those real life examples that you can connect this to. And he said, I want it for a car wash. And I was really confused. And I was like, no, we're talking about the nitinol experiment, not the water experiment. And he goes, yeah, it makes total sense. If you get into a car accident, you just drive to the hot car wash, and then your car goes back into its normal shape. And nitinol properties might not be ready for vehicles, but it was such an interesting concept. I was like, it just blew my mind that he had that level of creativity. And I was like, we should start that company right now, because that's going to save people millions of dollars every year. So take these experiments. There's a few others that we didn't go over that you can explore in the kit, and really apply that to the real life scenarios. So we'll go here ahead and take a look at the chat. It says, what were the resources that helped you get through mechanical engineering? All right, so there's one thing. I was a very good student in high school. I was very focused and committed, and I got really good grades. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have an easy way in college. Also, on the other side, even if you're not doing so well in high school, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do well in college. There was a different skill set, a different level of training, a different level of independence that you needed in order to succeed in engineering. So part of it is, it's the first time you might be off on your own completely. So, no one's telling you you have to go to class. No one's waking you up if you're a little bit late, right? So part of it is just making sure that you're committed and dedicated to your learning so that you can succeed. Because it's very easy to not show up to a lab or to a particular class because no one's going to say anything about it, right? No one's going to bother you about it. But then also the other key thing is understanding that it's a team sport. Just like I explained to you earlier with the failure, this is challenging stuff. Engineering is challenging, but it's a team sport. There's no company that was designed just by one person that's doing the big advancements that we have in technology. It takes a wide variety of people. And classrooms aren't always designed to teach you that way. And you're not always graded that way. But you need to understand that it is okay and it is normal to go and get help, to get tutoring, to get extra what we call office hours, where you're able to go and talk to a professor or a student assistant. And that's what's going to allow you to get over those little hurdles and bumps. Because at first I was like, man, I was smart in high school. Like I felt like a little bit almost ashamed to go to tutoring or to ask for help. Like people are going to think I'm stupid or I don't belong here. But it's sort of the opposite. I showed up and like everybody from my class was there. I was like, no wonder why people are doing well. Everyone's going here to get help and helping each other out. And so make sure that you understand that earlier. And like I said, during the failure portion of the experiment, just because it's challenging doesn't mean you're bad at it. So stay persistent, keep going after your goals. As long as you're still passionate about it, keep pushing forward. The next question, what courses in high school did you take to prepare for your admission into engineering programs in college? I'll tell you what I wish I would have done. I wish I would have taken the higher level calculus in high school. I went to an IB school. Some of you may be at AP schools. The higher you can get in math in high school, the better off you're going to be in engineering. One of the hardest portions for most people starting out in engineering is getting through the calculus. Once you get through the calculus, most people are good, right? They're set. And if I would have taken more of that in high school, if I wouldn't have taken the easy route in math in high school, I would have had an easier time in college. That's one thing that my parents really helped prepare me with, minus, I guess, in that math class, is my dad would always tell me, take care of the hard work now so that you can, have it easier later on, right? So he would say, like, focus, get your college degree now so you don't have to do this other hard stuff later on. And that was exactly the key. Like in high school, make sure that you're challenging yourself. I did in science. I really challenged myself in higher level chemistry. I took physics. That all really helped me on the science side of it, but I didn't challenge myself on the math side. So I would make sure to challenge or to encourage you to challenge yourself on both areas so that when you get to it, you've already seen some of this calculus stuff already when you're there. Or even if you do really well in AP or IB exams, you can test out of some of it. So for example, I did really well in IB chemistry. I tested out of the chemistry class requirements for mechanical engineering. So as some of my other peers had to take some college chemistry, I was already set. I could go on and take other courses, which saves you time and money and headaches, I guess. The one thing I would encourage you, though, is one mistake I made when I was choosing majors is I really liked chemistry, and the advisor was like, well, you did well on your chemistry exam. If you do mechanical engineering, you don't have to take the college chemistry, right? So on the surface, I was like, oh, this is great. Let me do mechanical. But I loved chemistry. I was good at it because I loved it. I enjoyed it. So maybe I should have done chemical engineering. In the end, I ended up finding out material science engineering, which is kind of the basis for some of these experiments like the Nitinol one. And I took all of my elective courses in mechanical engineering within the material science department. So that allowed me to kind of find that mix between chemical and mechanical. But go after your passion. Don't go after what's easy or what's simple. So we've got about 1 minute left. So we'll go into this last question. But stay connected. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok. My handle is at @JayFloresInspires. So JAY Flores, FLORES, inspires. Can you mention STEM careers that may only need an associate's degree from a community college or only a high school diploma? Yes, there are so many good, what we are calling the trade schools, being a welder, there's a lot of careers out there that you can use your hands and be out on the manufacturing floor and make a really good living, coming out of high school or just like an associate's degree or community college. So if you don't feel like college, a 4-year thing is the right thing for you, or you're not ready for it, or maybe just the grades didn't work out, whatever it is, look into trade schools, look into those careers, because there are people coming out of those making a significant amount of money because they're very in high demand right now. So I appreciate your guys' time. I hope you enjoyed the experiment. Remember to, in your kit, you have all of the resources. I want to point out here the QR code and link to the website. There you'll be able to find some videos going over some of the experiments, as well as a more in-depth experiment guidebook. So for the teachers, if you want to use this with your other classrooms that didn't get the kit, the experiment guidebooks are there for download for free. So thank you all again. Apologize for the technical difficulties and late start. We would have done maybe 1 or 2 more experiments, but you have all of it in your kit and you're going to be able to do those yourself. Now I want to hand it over to Joe Martinez. I need to give Joe a shout out for kind of helping put this all together. He is an engineer at Boeing. He's a great example of someone that has also leveraged SHPE to be able to take his career to new heights and do really cool things in the aerospace industry. So you're going to be in really good hands with him, doing a couple other cool activities, and I'll be back with you all later today. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you really enjoyed the experience. Remember, it's not magic, it's science.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. As Jay mentioned, I'm the person to put all this together. Elise is in the background. She's been helping do a lot of this, but I'm the pre-college program chair. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the rest of the day is going to look like. Once we're done here, you're going to go into the Truth About College panel, where you'll get to ask questions with current college students. And then we will take a break, and then we will be going into the NSAs, who is our sponsor for this event. They're going to have an activity for you all called Hex of the Turtle Islands. And then we're going to then have another session with a couple of gentlemen who have a non-for-profit organization called Non-Traditional College Success. Well, they'll get to talk to you a little bit more just about what success means and where you can find it, even if it's not in a traditional path sense. General things, each session has its own link, so make sure that you leave this one to go into the next one. The earliest you can join the next one is 5 minutes prior. So for example, the next one starts at 11 Eastern, so you can join in 2 minutes. For any of the sessions that require like laptops, things like that, make sure you split up into groups if you don't have enough laptops for everyone. No more than 5 people per laptop if possible, I believe was the guidance we gave you all. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, ask away, find us in the chat, or email Alicia if you have her contact information. For some reason you fell off of the Zoom or something like that. So otherwise, those last questions were really good, and I think those types of questions are going to be great for the next session where we get to talk to college students. So hopefully you have more to ask, and we will see you in the next session. So thank you, Jay, once again, and thank you everyone for being here.